Welcome. Today I will be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing on the November 26th Al-Anon readings in Courage to Change and a Little Time for Myself. I was just looking at my neighbor who just got home. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I'll take a moment to look over November 26th. The question of the day is, what helps me recognize my responsibility in my relationships? I really like this reading. All right, so it mentions step 8, which is made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. It talks about the difference between causing harm and not meeting someone's expectation. Oh my God, I love that. So there's a difference between causing harm or not meeting someone else's expectation. So it says, as long as we feel good about our behavior, it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. But of course, I always feel better when I'm kind and considerate. If we've genuinely harmed someone, then they can go on our list. Today's reminder says, determining our responsibilities. It's our job to determine our responsibilities in our relationships. And if we're not sure how to do it, we can trust the process of the steps to guide us through. The quote is from Survival to Recovery. It says to ask our higher power for help in knowing what we need to make amends for. So back to the question, what helps me recognize my responsibility in my relationships? I think maybe my motives, really taking a look at what my motives were when I behaved in such a way, if I was trying to be loving or if I was trying to be controlling, or if I was angry and taking it out on somebody. That helps me recognize my responsibility. Also, talking it over when I did the steps with my sponsor, that was really a big help because she was able to help me work out whether I really did harm or whether I just disappointed somebody, which is their issue, not mine. How about you? What helps you recognize your responsibility in your relationships? It's tricky, it's one thing to say I'm not responsible for other people's expectations. It's a very soothing, comforting thought, but at the same time, it's so nice when it just works out. It's like yes, I'll manage it if I'm just, not fulfilling someone else's expectations. Like that's really their issue. But isn't it so nice when just everybody's happy? Is that asking too much? We have no control over it. We only have control over ourselves. I only have control over myself. All right, moving on. I'm going to read November 26th. This is a nice reading about belonging and feeling connected, feeling accepted, and feeling a part of anything really, but including Al-Anon. So this person wrote about not feeling like they belonged like most of their lives, and it continued when they came to Al-Anon because they came to Al-Anon due to their grandparents drinking. They did not grow up in a house with alcoholism, but they realized very quickly that they definitely belonged in Al-Anon, and they felt very welcomed, which is fantastic. And it's interesting because I personally came to Al-Anon because of my son's substance abuse. He wasn't really drinking, it was substances, but I did later make the connection that my grandparent, I had a grandfather who was an alcoholic and actually um, abused my mother. So that definitely impacted my childhood, well, my entire life with my mother because my mother was an adult child. So today's reminder talks about how we know that we are understood and that we belong in Al-Anon. The quote is from In All Our Affairs. It paraphrasing, it says basically that you're not going to say anything in Al-Anon that someone else, like, whatever you have to say is not going to be shocking and is not going to surprise anyone in Al-Anon. Of course, that's me completely paraphrasing, but I love that about Al-Anon. I knew that no matter what I said, I mean, I've talked about this before, but not really recently, that when my son turned 18, I actually changed the locks on my house and my son became homeless. And um, that shocked a lot of people who didn't understand what I was going through. But in Al-Anon, they completely understood. And that was such a huge, monumental relief and help for me when I was going through that time. And in case you didn't know, my son is fine now. He's 29 and he's fine. So uh, this page is a beautiful reminder that if we think we need Al-Anon, we belong in Al-Anon. I love it. We'll close out with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you so much love. Take care.